It looks, to all appearances, like they are going to trim back on Dodd-Frank. If that happens, what's the likely effect going to be in the real world?
First of all, there's going to be legislation because the Senate bill or something almost exactly like it is going to come into law. I don't think the House is going to be able to change the Senate version, but this is going to take effect. Second of all, it's quite meaningful, and in part rather overdue, and in part a little bit too much. But
wait, I want to pick up on that. Too much. In other words, do you think that this could potentially spur another buildup in banking leverage that could be a threat to this system?
No, I'm not saying that. But at one level, I think there was pretty good evidence that lending to small business and the role of community banks and smaller banks was being hampered by the regulatory thrust of Dodd-Frank. And I think an awful lot of people agree on that. So that part of it really was overdue. On the other hand, I think the idea of raising the ceiling to $250 billion in terms of institutions below which aren't subject to extra supervision, extra capital requirements and so forth is just excessive. I mean, you're talking about really large institutions, the PNCs and SunTrusts of the world that are now exempt from that. And I just think they went too far in that regard. But the core of it, which is we need to reduce the regulatory burden on smaller lenders as it relates to particularly local business and small business, that I think makes sense.
And you can see we have this chart on the Bloomberg showing the broader universe of banks. And the lines basically indicate the outperformance of smaller banks or the difference of their performance versus bigger banks. And you can see that the latest returns for March show a vast outperformance of smaller banks versus larger ones. So to your point, a lot of people looking for some kind of boon there that's been long waiting.
You know, if you step back and you ask yourself, why is the rate of business dynamism, as economists call it in the United States, declining in terms of the ratio of business destruction to business startup? It's declining, and there are a lot of factors involved in that, a lot of factors. But one of them, I think, is the availability of credit to emerging businesses, brand new businesses. So addressing that made sense.